Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the top 5 things that you guys really need to stop doing on Yuumi. Ever since the release, I've been seeing a lot of very bad Yuumi players. I've been playing a bit on my main account, and I play a lot of support on that, play a lot of Zyra on that, and I am just getting a lot of free LP, and I'm just seeing a lot of mistakes going on, so I decided to make a second Yuumi video. The last one did extremely well, so I'm guessing you guys really enjoy when I talk about Yuumi. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump into just kind of 5 things you guys really need to stop doing on Yuumi that is hurting your play. As always, guys, if you have any comments you want to share, if you see some people doing bad things, or if you want to give your own tips for Yuumi, I would love to hear your comments down below. I'm also starting to stream on Twitch, so if you wanted to follow me over there, I'm going to put a link in the pinned comment down below. Alright, and getting into tip number 1, the most important thing that you guys really need to start focusing on with Yuumi, the most common mistake that I am seeing is that people are just constantly being attached to their ally in lane. They are not taking advantage of their auto attacks, getting a bonus from the AP item if you are choosing to go Spell Thieves, and they are not choosing to block any of the damage. What I mean by this is, I'll give you an example of a really basic lane. We have an Ezreal right there, and we have something just like a basic Thresh right there. So what you want to be doing when you are looking for an all-in is you want to start the fight off by getting your bop and block shield and getting that auto, and then using your abilities and block as many Qs as you can, bounce in for heals, and then bounce out. But you can absorb a lot of damage, particularly from champions with skill shots, and then when you get in kind of a low or a dangerous spot where you're kind of a low HP number, or you're about to get killed, you jump into your ally that hasn't been focused at all. And what this is going to do is it's going to extend your total life bar for your team, because if you are just spending the entire time inside of your ally, you are making them the focus of absolutely everything, and you are going to really your ally most likely is going to lose the 2v1 a lot of the time, and then you will just be focused down after that, because Yuumi is quite squishy on her own. So look to take full advantage of her kit. Stop just always being attached. I know it's a really cool mechanic that a lot of people want to use, but what you want to be doing is taking full advantage of being able to body block for your ADC, and just absorbing as much as possible before going in and out. And then obviously there is a really low cooldown on the attach and detach, so you can look to play around with being in both kind of forms. Don't just stick into one. It is going to be very just a poor decision for your overall laning phase. And that will wrap up tip number 1. Okay, and for tip number 2, I wanted to talk about something real quick that a lot of people are starting to discover, and I'm starting to see it a lot more. But Yuumi is not a traditional support that is required to take flash. You are able to do a double combat summoner. You can do maybe something like a heal or a ghost, but I really like the ignite exhaust combo, particularly against all-in lanes, something like a Leona that's going to force a fight. This is going to be extremely effective, because these are the 2 highest impact spells you can have in the early game. So do not try and always just be doing the classic exhaust flash or ignite flash. If you want a little bit more power, this is a great way to go, kind of like what a Shaco support would go. Second up, that is going to be a little bit different with Yuumi, is you can go super offensive with the base runes you get, because you are going to be able to kind of go invulnerable whenever you want. So just giving yourself the most potential with your shields, heals, and your Q damage. You really want to go really offensive with your runes, because Yuumi is just able to just dance around quite a bit, particularly in the row in the middle is flexible. You can either go a defensive or an offensive stat. I heavily recommend you go for the offensive stat. I know it seems tempting because Yuumi's really squishy, but just look to God, I lost my train of thought, sorry. Look to go as offensive as possible, and I think it will bring out the most out of Yuumi's kit. And I'll wrap up tip number 2. Okay, and getting into tip number 3, I want to talk about the most effective way to use your ult. What I'm seeing a lot of the time is the support Yuumi is always on top of the ADC and always trying to heal and protect them because they're like, oh, that's my hyper carry, I really need to protect them. But what's going to happen is when you are using your ult, your ADC is going to be running all over the place trying to kite out the enemy champions, and they do not care about getting your final chapter in the greatest position. So what you want to look to do is when you are looking to use your ult, you want to be on the champion that is diving and is in the front line to hit the maximum amount of targets as opposed to this. Now, one caveat would be, say you have a Jinx that's 8-0 and is a hyper carry and is extremely important. Maybe you just want to peel for that person and they have one diver. Say they have one person that did well that's a Zed that's like 3-1 or whatever, right? This is the only time you would look to maybe just use the ultimate on the Jinx if you're looking to just peel for that one diver that is getting really annoying. But again, in most circumstances, I really want you guys to be using your ultimate on the front line because they are going to really enjoy doing that, where the ADCs are going to be a lot more focused on just kiting out. This goes the same with the Q. A lot of the times, ADCs and hyper carries are going to just be running away and looking to kite back quite a bit, so this is going to ruin the range of your Q. So I see a lot more, whenever I play Yuumi, I see a lot more potential in just throwing your more offensive abilities from the back and then protecting your back line with your shields and your heals is going to be a lot better. And do not be afraid in team fights to come out, like I was talking about in the first tip, to try and eat up a little bit of damage for your team. I know this is extremely tricky because you can get one shot, but it will provide so much for your team and so much distraction for your team if they're like, oh my god, Yuumi's out, we need to burst her out. If you can draw out any big cooldowns and then hop right back into one of your allies, this will be a huge boon for your team. And that will wrap up tip number 3. Alright, and jumping into tip number 4. Now this one is particularly bad for low elo games like in bronze, silver, and gold and stuff, where people really are just building these same items over and over and over again. This is a very poor decision. Yuumi has an extremely flexible build on the different types of items she can get. So what I really want you guys to start focusing on when you are playing Yuumi is, what does my team need? Is there a lot of AoE damage on the enemy team? That means you want to go something like Locket and Redemption are going to be really good. Do they have a lot of single target damage? Are they like a Zed, a Kha'Zix, an Ezreal that are really just going to be doing a lot of damage to a single target? You want to be focusing on things like Athenes are going to be extremely strong. Do you have an ADC that is just popping off and doing extremely well and is working really well off the Yuumi? You really should be looking at things like, again, like Athenes, but as I said in my first video about Yuumi, Zeke's is going to be extremely strong to buff that person up and get that. So I do not want to get an OPGG review for a Yuumi player and be like, why are you building the same items over and over and over again? There are so many different things your team needs and that you can provide to them at different points with Yuumi. The next kind of like a caveat that you can do when you have a team that is extremely heavy engaged, say you have a Sivir, you have a Malphite, you have a Sejuani, you have a super tanky team that just wants to run at the enemy, things like Shirelias and Twin Shadows can really improve your catch potential. So look at items and look at the enemy team comp, look at your allied comp, and just really just kind of do a thought experiment in your head. What are the best, absolute best items that my team needs me to be building at this current moment? This is going to be a really effective way to up. Maybe it's not going to help you turn a 40% win rate into a 60% win rate, but if improving your decision making with your items, I think could help at least 2 to 5% in your win rates if you are a decent level of Yuumi player. And that will wrap up tip number 4. Alright, and for the final tip, this one might be a little bit weird, a little bit uncommon, but I think this is a great way you can look to initiate fights, and it is going on with your ultimate. Now, when people see a Yuumi that is outside and that is not really getting hit by anything, and they're not attached to anyone, they think they can burst out the Yuumi quite easily. So how I want you guys to look to engage with your ultimate is obviously be near the front line, near an ally that is looking to engage, maybe being right behind, say you have a Poppy in the front line. Maybe you should be looking at something and engage like this, where you are going to draw a lot of threat. People are be like, oh my god, this Yuumi's ulting us and doing so much damage. You can attach when you are in the middle of your ultimate, and it will draw a lot of you can reposition your ultimate obviously as well with the attach and then detach and use your ultimate like that. So look to kind of play around with her kit and seeing the most effective ways to attach and detach. Look to just really abuse your invulnerability. This is such a unique part of Yuumi's kit that I think is very, very underused with the current player base, because it just hasn't been shown. Maybe we need a couple Synapse clips of people just going crazy with the invulnerability and just ducking in and out and drawing a lot of ire from the enemy team. But yeah, guys, be ahead of the curve and start doing things that people aren't expecting on Yuumi, and I really think it will help out quite a bit. I really was disappointed when I saw Yuumi's win rate at 30% or whatever it is right now, because it's such a cool champion. It's such like a cool kind of trolly character design. Just being a cat with a book is pretty crazy. So yeah, that will wrap up my video, my 5 tips. If you enjoyed, or the top 5 things you need to stop doing on Yuumi, if you enjoyed it, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. And always, guys, take it easy.